There are organizations out there that are leveraging Salesforce in powerful ways to serve their customers. Trailside Talk is here to shine a light on their successes and their stories.
I'm your host, Hannah Thompson. Join me on the trail to CRM success as we dig into some real-life, high-impact journeys, from challenges to triumphs and everything in between. Let's explore this story together. Welcome to Trailside Talk. I am joined today by Ben France, and Ben is the Director of Business Development for Smiley Technologies, which provides a unique total core banking software and services solution for community banks. They provide a relationship-first approach to servicing community banks, and they offer thoughtful development as well. So Ben, really excited to dig into your story today. To start us off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be in your role at Smiley?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to tell more about the Smiley story and tell a little more about the relationship between Smiley and WhiteRock. But my background, I started off in banking after college, worked in more of a commercial bank and investment bank, and then I took about 8 years off and worked in account development, which is where I met Mike, which we'll get into later, I'm assuming. But during the pandemic, I actually called up Smiley Technologies because we were I worked for the chamber, and we were calling all of our members, and I actually talked to our president and CEO and just see how everything was going with the pandemic, or you know about these programs, and we just had a really good conversation, and ended up. I've always wanted to get back into banking, financial technology, and learn more about technology. And just a few months later, they had a hiring for an implementation, and interviewed and got it. And then I really wanted to get into sales, and then I was kind of doing both implementation and sales, and eventually just started doing sales full time. So it's been a great, I guess, 3.5 years at Smiley.
Awesome. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you organize your IT objectives and your strategies to collaborate with your team, and how do you see this adding value to your customers?
And I'll just give a quick kind of overview of Core. So Core, in simplest forms, is we're the software that's supporting all of the financial transactions of a bank. So you think of deposits, loan, mortgages, payments, online banking, general ledger. So there's a software behind that, and so we're trying to make their interactions seamless for the customer and for the bank employees. So we not only serve the bank employees are actually using our Core, but the bank customers are using our online banking. And so there are very few core banking companies in the United States. I'll say there are about 15 really out there. But we prioritize our IT objectives based on people, process, and technology are kind of our three main things. And we kind of have the analogy of a three-legged stool. So if one doesn't work, it's going to fall over, of course. So people are, we feel like the industry is trying to move people out of the equation. Well, for us, there's still people, we still have coders, people training, people developing the new products. And so we want to bring people back in there. On the technology side, the Core is a very, very important piece for the bank. I mean, we're balancing the bank every night. We're making sure, their customers get paid. We're making sure their employees can run the deal every night. So it's very important that what we're doing. And on top of that is process. And process, we feel like, is one thing that the industry is not doing. And that's really getting into the weeds and helping our banks with issues that might be happening. We want bankers to be bankers, and we want us to handle the technology part of it, because there is a lot of moving pieces with the Core. It's such a large software that we feel like you just need a more trusted advisor to help through dealing with issues on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Very important work that you guys are doing for your customers. For sure.
Thanks.
What about challenges that you guys have at Smiley? Could you tell us a little bit about maybe your biggest challenge and how you've approached it?
I would say, there is a lot of noise in our industry, and we have kind of to decipher and help our banks decipher what is real and what's really just marketing under the cover just to sell anything. Because if you go into our industry, the core industry, there's fintechs and there's APIs, which are application program interfaces. A lot of buzzwords, and these things are good, but there's a lot of times that these fintechs might not be providing really the service without really getting into the weeds. And so that's when we talk about process. And we need to look and do our due diligence on these fintechs and determine, do they provide good value for our banks? Are they going to help, help bring new deposits or help create loans or make things more efficient? And there needs to be a trusted advisor like Smiley, who's out there and can look at, like I said, what is real and what's not. And so we take pride in doing the blocking and tackling for our banks.
And how do you see that challenge impacting the day-to-day business or bottom line?
So that challenge, and I'm going to talk more about the bank's bottom line, because they get a lot of bankers get a lot of requests from other vendors, and they need someone like Smiley to help do some due diligence on those vendors, because a lot of times these vendors need access to the core, because the core has all the information about the transactions, the customer information. And so, we want to make sure that these other third parties are in fact doing the job that they're saying going to do, and what they need from the core. And so we want to make sure that we're helping the bank do the due diligence, because a lot of times the bankers are there to be a voice in the community, to gather deposits and make loans. And like I said, they need a technology expert to help kind of figure out kind of what's real and what's not as far as third parties and fintechs.
Definitely.
And I'll say this, that there are some really good fintechs out there. It's just, I think just that there's a lot of noise out there, and bankers get a lot of different requests, and we just want to be a partner to help figure out what's best for the bank.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Good partnership relationship that you got there, for sure. Can you share a little bit about your new technical and innovative initiatives for Smiley for 2024?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on a few things. So last couple of years, we've invested a lot in the private cloud, which we use in Microsoft Azure, which acts as a middle layer between our core and third parties to help provide banks a secure path to Smiley's core platform. So, we want to make sure we prioritize security and stability, and we want to make sure that these third parties, get the access they need to the core, but making sure that it's secure and it's stable. And so we're going to enhance more of that enhancement to that API middleware layer. So the middleware layer is where we have our identity server, is where we have our APIs, where we call microservices, which are areas of the bank. If you think of like deposits or loans, there might be a microservice for deposits, a microservice for loans, a microservice for online banking. It allows us to scale more, and when we do these third parties, they can connect to a microservice, which allows us to not have to shut the entire system. If they just need access to loan information, they go to that microservice. So that's one thing we're doing. We're looking into real-time payments. There are a lot of there's FedNow, there's RTP, which could potentially be a competitor to like ACH, which is automated clearinghouse. So real-time payments, are more. I mean, if you make a payment, it's going to show up on your accounts within seconds, as opposed to ACH might be a couple of days. And so, this will help the bank with cash flow and budgeting. So we're making sure we understand kind of what's out there. So that's something that we're looking into. And then the third thing is, everyone has talked about AI, artificial intelligence, and so we're working and doing our initial kind of due diligence on AI. This could be a lot more automation to save time for employees, for bank employees, provide more efficiency for bank employees. AI is a game changer, and we're taking a methodical approach to it and determining kind of where can we start. So we're doing some projects to begin with and see where that takes it. But yeah, those are the kind of the three main things we're working on. We're doing some more things, but I think from kind of the main ones are the three I just mentioned. So
great stuff ahead for you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So digging in a little bit to the partnership between Smiley and WhiteRock, would love it if you could share how Smiley first discovered and engaged with WhiteRock.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that I was in economic development, and so I worked at the WhiteRock Chamber, and we were in need of a CRM. And I was doing my research and actually ran into Mike. Mike was a chamber member, and he kind of told me what he did on the CRM platforms. And we just had a conversation with Mike, and it was very natural. He kind of was very transparent on how everything's would work. He had a really good vision for us, and so I was just very impressed with Mike and the team. And so after I started working at Smiley, I was kind of one of the first salesperson they've had. We've been around for 20 years, and we're privately held, and my boss and president CEO Elizabeth Glassbrenner, she wants to take a very managed and methodical approach to growing. We don't want to grow too fast because that would mess up our support. It would mess up our development timeline. So we're a lot of times these banks that are on bigger cores and legacy cores, it's hard to get good support, and it's hard to get good products and updates. And so I was, after 18 years, I was really the first true salesperson we had, and so we needed a CRM because we were just doing all manual spreadsheets. And so just based on my experience with the team at WhiteRock, I thought let's do this again. And so we kind of started from scratch at Smiley, like I did at the WhiteRock Chamber, and lo and behold, so
here we are. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so through that work together, how has WhiteRock improved Smiley's organization in the sales process?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I was really the first true sales rep at Smiley, and we were using spreadsheets to track prospects. So I really needed a software to help track our sales pipeline, but I really needed a strategic partner to take a consultative approach. And so, I just remember Mike came to us at the beginning and visited with us, and he started whiteboarding all the things that we could be doing with our CRM. And so we first started on, let's start doing kind of sales CRM with Salesforce. And so that was our first engagement with them. There might be more, but the sales pipeline at Smiley Arena Core is very long. It sometimes takes over 2 years. It could take a year, but we had a lot of different banks that we were talking to, and we just needed help organizing that in a way that's not on spreadsheets, that are that's in the cloud, that's I can get on my iPhone, I can get on my desktop to figure out kind of how our sales are. And so we're going to have a lot more losses than wins here, because we're only trying to do 3 or 4 deals a year. I've talked about that managed approach to growing not super fast. We're not trying to become the next big core out there. We're really trying to keep that great support and development timeline. So 3 or 4 is all we're doing, but we have to whittle through a lot of different prospects and figure out what's a good partner to us. And the same with them. So it's we always talk about that a core banking relationship is it's kind of like a marriage. It's we're talking with our banks every day, and these are long-term contracts, and so we need to make sure in the sales process that we're good fits for each other. And so WhiteRock helped design and develop kind of the sales CRM we need based on our sales process.
Awesome. I'm glad that we could play a role in getting y'all from that spreadsheet to CRM side of things. That's great. You may have already touched on it, but what do you value most about the partnership with WhiteRock?
WhiteRock to me is kind of similar to Smiley. They are, very, very timely support. Their ability to understand what we need and help visualize that. They also bring a really big picture view to our business. Of course, they're good with doing tickets and helping me with little things, but I think they're very good at looking at us, not just a couple of months from now, but looking at years in advance of what we should be doing on the CRM standpoint. And so I think adding that timely support, which is great, but also bringing that big picture, holistic view to our company.
How have Smiley and WhiteRock worked together to customize solutions to your unique needs?
I've kind of touched on that. It's a unique industry. People don't know a lot of the core industry, but it's very important to the banks. We were handling a lot of money. We're balancing the bank every night, creating their general ledger. And so we needed a partner to help us customize our sales process. And so it's a very long sales cycle. So having WhiteRock customize to be what we need from a reporting standpoint, from just a day-to-day data input on Salesforce, to helping us with dashboards and goals of sales. And even our president CEO, I mean, she uses it, Salesforce, because she talks to prospects a lot too, as well as of course I do. And having that ability for us to a tool like that they've helped create, WhiteRock helped create, that we can kind of bounce ideas off here and write notes about prospects. It's helped out a whole lot, and very grateful to what WhiteRock is doing. Sorry.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that we've been able to be a help to you guys.
Yeah.
Can we discuss the importance of open communication and collaboration in this partnership?
Yeah. I can call, email Mike or Logan if I need anything, and they're back to me in a moment's notice. So they might not have the answer to begin with, but they usually reply and say, "We're working on this. We'll get back to them to it." And so I think just the honesty and transparency they provide to me it helps me when I have ideas on what's relevant and what should I be doing, what's not. Because just like Smiley's the experts in core, they're the experts in CRM, and so being able to just to bounce ideas off them, it really helps. It helps me become a better salesperson, sales rep in this industry. And so I appreciate all they do.
So I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I think the feeling's mutual here as far as partners. We enjoy partnering with you guys. So can you share any lessons learned or challenges overcome during this process?
Yeah, I think just the lessons learned. I think just be open to ideas. Sometimes we just get in the day-to-day projects, and we sometimes forget what else is out there. And so they're always willing to provide some new ideas that might help our sales process and might help other aspects of our business. And so they've been doing this for a lot of years, and I trust them, their advice that they give me. They're not just going to sell me something just because they want to sell me something. They're going to provide me with good advice based on our business and our growth. So.
How are you measuring the value and success of your strategy with your customers?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, now we talked about this. Let's let our banks. Our focus are community banks. So, in terms of asset range, that's anywhere between 100 million to 4 or 5 billion. And so, we want to make sure that our banks are being bankers, and they're creating loans, they're collecting deposits, they're being a voice in the community and helping out businesses and citizens of that community. So, we want to make sure that they're doing that, and how can we help on the technology side? And so, we want to make sure that they're first fulfilling their mission, and we want to make sure they get the support they need, the products, and then make sure they have the products and services to run the bank and to run it efficiently, and how some of these product services could get more customers and more deposits or more loans. So, I guess to sum that all up, it's really just to help out their community and help out the mission of that bank.
That's awesome. And how has the partnership with WhiteRock contributed to the growth and development of Smiley? And how do you measure the success of WhiteRock's solutions for your organization?
We've added a number of banks the past couple of years, and for a sales cycle that's that long, it's very difficult for cores to change. You talk about you're taking everything out of their major software that has all the transaction data and debit card data, deposits and loans and general ledger, and moving it to a new system, it takes a minimum of 6 months. And so we have to be very methodical in our sales and determine what partners are best fit. And so, we've added, like I said, a number of banks already, which is, I attribute that success to WhiteRock helping us create a sales pipeline, helping us create a sales dashboard, just an overall sales CRM to help us keep track of that. In addition, we added our first product that we sold to non-core customers. And so it's a reporting tool that we actually created for some CDFI and MDI banks. And CDFIs are community development financial institutions, and MDIs are minority deposit institutions. So we actually created a product that we were selling to these non-core customers, first time ever. And so they really helped us create some new products that we could put, some kind of what that annual return and annual revenue was like, and we could put that within Salesforce. And they were a big help on trying to understand how we want to do it. I mean, they're always here to listen, and so it's been really good. So,
what do you consider to be some of your biggest accomplishments over the past year?
Yeah. In 2023, we added 3 new banks, which is a big deal for us. So we had 3 conversions, which I talked about. Conversions take 6 to 8 months, and that was a success. The big thing is we added 32 new employees. So we're up to about 100 employees now. I think when I started 3.5 years ago, I think I was employee number 42 or 44. I'm not sure, but we've added a lot in the past 3.5 years, and it's always good to keep growing because it's a tough industry to be in. I mean, these are we're hiring developers and product managers and IT, a lot more technical, and so it's really hard to find the technical talent nowadays. And so adding 32 new employees it's a big success for us. We're very proud of that. And then I've kind of talked about that new revenue stream with the reporting for the CDFI NDI banks. And so, not to get in the weeds, but about 3 or 4 years ago, there was a program that the Treasury instituted called the Emergency Capital Investment Program. And they lent out $8 billion worth of money to these CDFI MDIs. And part of that is they need a reporting feature that they report to the Treasury every quarter and every year. And so we came up with a solution to help automate that process for the banks. And so I go back to it. Let's let the bankers be bankers and let us help us with these technology and create more efficiencies for them, so they're not doing everything manual. And then I think the last thing we're known for our service, and we kind of created a new brand called Service with a Smiley, which is built on the ability for banks to have meetings with not only our relationship manager, but also, our product. So you'd be able to meet with our product team and figure out, these are the people who are actually building your products and learn more about whether it's a loan product or deposits or online banking. Ability to meet with our IT staff as well about IT needs. Also, ability to meet with our strategy team. If a bank is going to add a new branch or a new fintech, you have the ability to meet with our strategy team. And then, of course, the last thing, you'll be able to meet with our executive team. So whether that's our CEO or CTO or chief strategy officer, you have the ability to meet with our executive team. And we're just there to listen and figure out kind of what are your top things you want to achieve, and how can the core help them achieve that. And so these meetings aren't based off, it's whether it's weekly or monthly or annual or quarterly. It's really up to the bank, but it's been a really big success of having the bank ability to meet with other people at Smiley besides their relationship manager. So there were just a few things that we did over the past couple of years.
Fantastic, adding a lot of value to your customers, for sure. What are some of Smiley's plans and goals coming up? What is Smiley excited about either now or for the coming year?
Yeah, and quick background. So Elizabeth Glassburn, our president and CEO, her and her brother Vance founded this company about 20 years ago, and their dad is Walter Smiley, who started a company called Systematics in 1968. And so this company, he had this idea of shared computer space. So he used to work for IBM, and he would go visit all these banks and see these large mainframes, and the banks might be using this much of the mainframe. So the idea of shared computer space. And so he took the idea, went public in the 1980s, had about 5,000 employees. It eventually sold to Alta, which eventually became what we now know as FIS. And so, I think if you ask Walter, they probably grew very, very fast and maybe lost some of that support. And so we're really trying to get to about 50 to 60 banks on our platform, and then probably stop, because we feel the support model breaks after that range. And our board and our senior leadership has bought into that goal. And so it's a very, we're very different than other cores. I mean, they're a whole lot bigger, and they want to grow because they have to answer to quarterly earnings and answer to stockholders, whether that's public or private. Well, for us, we're probably held, and we're continuing to do that very managed and strategic growth in order to keep that great support and development timeline.
How do you see WhiteRock fitting into your long-term strategy?
Yeah, I mean, right now, WhiteRock has helped us with the sales CRM. I feel like as we continue to grow larger and add more people, there might be other types of the business that we need help with, and not just sales, whether that's account management or whether that's a finance or accounting tool to help integrate that. And so, I feel like, and it's nice that they're local. So if we need to meet with Mike or meet with Logan, or anyone else on the WhiteRock team, we can have sit down and have a conversation person to person. But they're always available via phone or virtual calls as well. So.
Fantastic. What advice would you give to an organization considering a partner like WhiteRock?
I would say, I mean, the company needs to sit down and figure out what their strategy is. And before you do anything else, what do you want to achieve out of this relationship, whether it's with WhiteRock or another partner? So before you do that, do your homework, make sure you understand what your strategy is for your CRM, and figure out how WhiteRock and another person can help you fulfill that strategy.
Absolutely. And what advice would you give to someone in your role at another company?
Yeah, I think patience and positivity. I've talked about the sales process is so long, and we're only trying to do 2 or 3 a year. So having patience with these banks. I mean, these banks have a lot on their plate. I mean, it's a very regulated environment, and so they're dealing with that, but also dealing with shareholders, and they're dealing with customers and employees. And so just continue to be patient throughout the sales process. And then, positive, you're going to get more no's than yeses in the industry. So, the actual signed contracts are going to come just a few times a year. So you got to celebrate those little wins. So if that's like getting a demo, that's a little win. If that's getting a second appointment, that's a little win. If that's a banker picking up the phone, that's a little win. So to me, I try to celebrate those little wins in my eyes that really help me continue to be positive. So.
Great advice. Thank you for sharing. Patience, positivity, and celebrating the little wins. I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah. As we prepare to kind of wrap up here, is there anything else that you'd like to share with those tuning in?
Yeah, I do appreciate WhiteRock's partnership and really helping us in a very hyper growth mode that we're in. They've been with us, throughout this time. I really do appreciate what you guys and what you guys do for us on a daily basis, but also being more of a strategic partner and helping us with the future, because we're trying to figure out what's the next step. And I think having a partner like WhiteRock is huge for us.
Fantastic. Well, on behalf of our team, we're really glad to partner with you guys too, and really excited about everything you guys have going on at Smiley. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Enjoyed it.
Kind of closing questions here. Do you have a favorite resource for success that you would recommend to those tuning in?
Yeah, I mean, of course, besides Salesforce and WhiteRock, I'm just a big fan of Microsoft and some of their tools like SharePoint. Being able to store documents on the cloud, and then OneNote. I'm getting away from doing everything on paper and typing all my notes. So, and it's all in the cloud, so I can, if I'm on my computer, on my iPad, or on my phone, I can look at those notes. So those are two big things that I like.
And where can those tuning in get in contact with you or with Smiley?
Yeah, I would just say LinkedIn is probably the best way. We're pretty active on LinkedIn, so either myself or Smiley Technologies. That's kind of the best way to reach me.
So fantastic. Well, Ben, thank you so much for taking the time to join me on Trailside Talk today. I've really
Awesome.
enjoyed getting to learn about your journey with Smiley. Thanks for taking the time, and thank you for everyone tuning in as well.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, that concludes another exciting episode of Trailside Talk. Thanks for joining, and see you on the next trail.